Who will pay for our kids' private school when we divorce? With the child and spousal support, I don't know how I'll afford the tuition.
The answer to the question depends on a few items. First of all, it depends on whether the proposed expense is necessary in relation to the child's best interests. The second thing is, it depends on whether the expense is reasonable in relation to the means of the parties. When we talk about means, we mean how much money the person has, the proposed payer, but also any person that the proposed payer is living with. And the third thing that it depends on is the spending pattern of the parties prior to separation. So, for example, to answer the question, if the parties were paying for private school before they separated, they could easily afford it, and they determined that it was somehow necessary for the child because, let's say, the child was doing very well in that school versus an experience in a public school, you can be sure that a judge would likely deem that to be an expense, or what they call a special or extraordinary expense, that the parties would have to contribute to proportionately to income after separation. On the other side, however, if during the marriage the parties never had the child in private school, and now one person wants to have the child in such a school, the parties can clearly not afford it, being in two households with their incomes. And if there's no reason why the private school would benefit the child versus a public school, chances are a judge would not call it a Section 7 expense, special extraordinary expense, and require the parties to pay proportionally.